schisms in the net say the Joker glorifies violence. How can a show or a movie glorify violence? Does The Thing do it? Die Hard? What movie does it? That's complicated.
Glorifies it, though?
Well, this is the thing. Joker certainly doesn't. Is there a film that glorifies violence? I guess the argument would be like portraying the violence to be a good and cool / honorable right thing.
Honorable and good? Sure, certainly
glory,
cool.
right? Like a glorious, glorify it.
I mean, there are plenty of movies about. Well, when you say glorify,
there's definitely movies that like make it look kind of badass, like the first John Wick, but I don't think glorify is the correct word.
It's a very complicated
generally,
thing yeah.
In those, there's always a context for that sort of thing, you know.
Because when I think glorify, I think more like, this is great. This is something you should do. Like, this is awesome, right? Kind of
like Saving Private Ryan doesn't glorify violence.
Yeah, it more glorifies like the surfing your country, you know, being a hero. It shows it's not really it doesn't really glorify the killing other people part, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's many examples of, you know, how it's a very noble thing to, you know, to have a just cause to fight for, and to make sacrifices and to do tough stuff for, you know, for the idea of good.
Yeah, it's usually not like the violence itself that's portrayed as like the righteous thing. It's more like the reason behind the violence.
Yeah, I mean, normally when there's like a bad person doing violence, it's pretty clearly bad. And normally in something when a good person does violence, there's a reason for it. I'm sure there's examples, but none really come to mind. It's something you hear more in video games now. Probably because someone said maybe Gladiator. Sure.
But again,
but there's so like the context of like, yeah, I mean, Gladiator, he was forced to, I mean, he was enslaved and thrust into that position, and he used that position to get closer.
Arena. Like, we don't have.
They still make it
as far
cool.
as I know.
It depends on your.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying it's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know about the glorifying the violence. I mean, glorifying it in the context of that culture.
I guess. I mean, it's obvious that the Colosseum. Well, that's the thing. You got. That's a question. You're like, what do you mean glorify?
In ancient Roman culture, then yeah, it was definitely glorified, but nowadays, no.
Yeah. Maybe the fight at the beginning.
I mean, they certainly portrayed in the film the glorification, but only in the context of that culture. The film itself wasn't like saying, "Oh, violence good."
Yeah.
That was more just the feeling of the actual film.
Yeah, because when you talk about movies like Patriot, for example, you know, war sucks a lot, but there are noble causes to fight for. And
well, how about this one? Loaf said, Captain Marvel cheerfully killing hundreds of thousands of Kree glorifies violence.
Oh, yeah, it actually. Oh, that's right. We were thinking about good movies. Oh, that's where we f***ed up. I mean, Batwoman glorifies violence. Kate assaults Luke the first 2 times that she sees him unprovoked. Oh my goodness, it's all the shitty things that they say we are amazing for women's that are the ones that glorify violence. Captain Marvel assaulting the Dawn. That's glorifying violence.
Yeah, people like, yeah.
Oh my goodness, found.
You know, when it comes to like the glorifying violence part, I feel like her opinion also might be colored just because media is like, this film glorifies violence, and they say it in a fashion of like trying to say that the film is trying to say we should be violent in our society, or we should like kill people we don't like.
There are moments where violence will be something you need to commit to.
Do? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, need as like it pertains to defending yourself or someone, you know, that's different from like going out and trying to kill somebody because you feel like it.
Yeah.
Sure.
It depends on how you define it. We got to talk about like what you mean by glorify. Are you talking about in the context of the film's narrative and world and characters, or are we talking about the film's message to the audience?
So there's
because the media definitely tries to push it as like the message of the film is to kill people you don't like or to be an incel or whatever.
Some chat suggestions here. We'll go down a couple
Black
that
Panther.
I see. Does Tom and Jerry glorify violence?
A lot of the time, Jerry's violence upon Tom is defensive, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's slapstick comedic violence with no permanent repercussions. So violence in a way, but not. I don't think not in the spirit that it was asked. But that's an interesting question. I think by technicality, but not in the principle of the question. Sure. Next time we have Leia slapping Poe.
He deserved it because he got everybody killed, right?
Black Panther glorifies violence given they are a society that governs through trial by combat. Certainly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually not a bad point.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Black Hawk Down, but they were fighting.
I don't think so.
I don't think that was a film glorifying violence.
Violence is horrific in that film.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just looking through. Let's see. The Judge Dredd, the newest one. Well, those are very clearly evil drug cartel, essentially terrorizing people.
And they're in a world where breaking the law, he's judge, jury, and executioner all in one, isn't he?
Yeah. That I would like to watch that movie again, actually.
Predators, their society glorifies violence. Sure.
Against the autistic.
Someone said Wakanda is pacifist. It's like, as in they'll pacifist across your face. But their society's leaders governed is chosen through trial by combat, and that's the thing. They're pacifist up until the point before that where they weren't. Let's see. What do we got? What about Pokemon?
Oh, that's a whole thing.
Spec Ops: The Line does not glorify violence.
Caddyshack glorifies violence against gophers.
Spec Ops is like,
weird ones.
That game tries to fuck with your head with morality and shit. That's really not glorifying the violence. That's trying to use it in such a way that actually makes the violence matter.
Some people are saying Hostel and Saw is no. Violence.
Does Raw glorify roof violence?
Only Raw can answer that.
Death Wish. You know that it's bad what they're doing, but you also accept that it's a movie, and I think that if it's accepted that what they're doing is bad, it's like Flesh and Blood or Mad Max and a lot of stuff like that, where
I glorify all violence. Of course you do.
What Dragon Ball Z?
Postal 1, 2, and 4.
Does Paul Blart Mall Cop glorify violence?
I gotta say yes, just for the meme value.
A couple people have said 300.
It's
yes,
been a
but they
while
are
since I've seen it,
they are defending their country from foreign invaders who are badmen. Let me see. We have there was one. Let's see.
Reign of Fire was a glorification of dragons, or dragon killing, rather.
Okay, this is actually interesting. The Deadliest Warrior TV show. That is completely, because that removes itself entirely from, there's no context to it. It's just purely the combat aspect.
Isn't the justification though just to see which of these, classes?
Yeah, which of these warriors would win? And they do a lot of effective ancient weapons on bodies and what wounds it would cause and how deadly they are. So I could see the argument, though. If anything, it tells us that these weapons are gonna fuck you up. Oh, someone said Watership Down. If you mean the book or the movie,
I
yeah.
haven't read or watched it, so I can't say anything about that.
I've read the book. I haven't watched the movie, but I've seen. I get what it's about.
Yeah, I know what it's about. I just haven't seen it to know the context.
Some say that the Warriors glorifies gang violence. Someone's saying UFC, but I don't agree. That's definitely a sport, and there's sportsmanship involved in that.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go pee.
Yeah.
It glorifies combat arts. I agree with that.
He revels in the brutality and is biased in favor of the Greeks. Well, that battle was biased in the favor of the Greeks, but I see. I could see what you mean by saying it makes it really stylish and cool. If that's the criteria we use for whether it glorifies it or not, sure. But then again, a realistic depiction of violence might be cool to a lot of people. Cool is subjective. You could use an attempt to make it cool. This is a good question. Clockwork Orange? No, I don't think Clockwork Orange glorifies violence.
Red Dawn?
Yeah, sort of. But like, communist invaders.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting back to free their country, not like killing for the sake of like, yeah, this is awesome.
Starship Troopers?
Freddy Got Fingered does.
I don't know if Starship Troopers glorifies violence. Sort of. I mean, if anything, it mocks the idea that violence is glorified. Because, yeah, it's pretty grisly. That movie, certainly.
Someone points out, like, what kind of violence are we talking about? Like, is it sadistic or is it patriotic or defensive? Because then the question changes.
Expendables, I think Expendables would fit the bill because it's just that movie is just for old actors to get together to be violent. I'm fine with that, but
a lot of
glorifying violence because violence is cool.
Shit like the Hateful Eight, Django Unchained.
Yeah,
you could probably Final Destination, definitely.
Let me see. Someone's saying further input on the Clockwork Orange. No, I don't think Clockwork Orange glorifies violence at all. Alex DeLarge is very much depicted as a bad person when he does those things. It's presented in it. I don't know if you think that kind of violence is portrayed as being cool or stylish. I don't think it is. He's clearly bad. And everyone's on board with him getting what he deserves. In that show, he's the protagonist. He's not the hero. Let me see. I'm just looking through. Someone's saying Fight Club. Fight Club's an odd one because they have rules for Fight Club.
This is probably gonna be heresy. I actually haven't seen Fight Club.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I don't think they glorify it. I think the reason that they have it isn't to glorify violence, but like to use it as an outlet for raw aggression and stuff like that. I haven't seen it in a while. I may be wrong. Let's see. Home Alone, kind of. He is defending himself against home invaders. And there are no realistic consequences for the comedic violence that happened to him or them. So
I'm sorry, what one were we talking about? Which one?
Home Alone.
Oh. Can we even really count? Well, yeah, it is violent. It's kind of comedic.
I think maybe the difference between when you say it glorifies violence, maybe it's like violence for the sake of itself is good. Or that, because here's the thing, if people say, well, it's trying to make violence cool, is like, first off, violence can be cool. Also, there's nothing, I mean, it's no less violent whether or not it's stylized or more grounded, I guess, give or take. Both can be very Grizzly or whatever. But generally, as I said before, when bad people do violence in movies and games and stuff, it's portrayed as bad. When good people do it, they do it for noble reason. But if you have like multiplayer games, then they just use violence as context for competition. Multiplayer video games, especially. So, in that sense, I don't know. Again, it depends on how you would define violence.
Yeah.
Glorification of violence. Oh, vids from ISIS.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they use violence as a spectacle in order to, they're terrorists.
I mean, that's not quite the same thing as like.
Yeah, I think it's interesting
media.
though. Yeah. I definitely think it's interesting, but I do think that they glorify violence.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
the Indiana Jones movies. That's a good one, Eagle. Indiana Jones, to a degree. I mean, the same degree that a lot of them do. A hero fights against bad people to do a good thing, and he's cool. He's a cool action hero while he does it.
So, should I move on?
Oh yeah.
I think we talked.
That was a good question. There were a lot.
Oh yeah, there was an interesting thing to talk.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.